We've got some big-time news to discuss on Davante Adams and his trade preference/request. We will get to all of that and what some potential destinations are. But will the Raiders trade Davante Adams? Y for yes, N for no. Let me know in the comment section of today's show. Let's talk that Davante Adams trade. The rumors are back, and now it's kind of more on the newsy side, as that smoke has kind of become more of an outright fire at this point. He reportedly wants to be traded. The Raiders are open to doing it. Let's wind back the clock a little bit. First, there was the K. Adams conversation today where he makes comments like, I'll control what I can control. Antonio Pierce is liking Instagram posts about Adams not playing again, which is really friggin' weird. Like, you're a coach. What are you doing? Then there was this report this afternoon from Vincent Bonsignor. More on this to come. A league source with knowledge of the situation confirmed the Raiders are growing open to the idea of trading Davante Adams. The source said the club is going to reach out to teams to gauge interest in the veteran wide receiver. Then, not long before we went live this afternoon, Ian Rapoport, Raiders star receiver Davante Adams, informed the team he preferred to be traded, per him and Mike Garafolo. There is nothing imminent, but a situation to watch for sure. Rap then followed up with this. The Raiders are trying to win games, and there are plenty of scenarios where Davante Adams stays in Las Vegas. But there are also scenarios where he's headed elsewhere, and he'll have a market. Then Adam Schefter reporting this, per ESPN sources. The Raiders have informed other teams they would, quote-unquote, consider trading wide receiver Davante Adams for a package that would include a second-round pick and additional compensation. Then, of course, there were the comments this morning where K. Adams asks Davante Adams, no relation, hey, what's going on with the Raiders? You're going to be traded? And he just goes, I'm going to control, all I can control is the next thing I'm on to. And that was a, that's interesting type of comment. That certainly raised some red flags, some question marks of like, what's going on there? That's all a very interesting comment that had been made. My big question mark here is, trade competitions at 2. What teams are interested? What the hell happened here? How did this go from Adams making comments of season, I don't want to be traded, to 4 games in, they're 2-2, by the way, he's like, yeah, I'm done. What is going on in Vegas? Why are they spending money on Christian Wilkins and having massive quarterback questions, and now their best player, their best receiver wants to move on? It's very messy, again, in Las Vegas. I'm not a Raiders fan, but if I were, I would be tired of this happening seemingly every year with a different player or coach. It's got to be super frustrating. Now, we'll get to some destinations, some talk about Adams and the contract as well. But where do you think Adams will finish the 2024 season? Raiders? Somewhere else? Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Now, the Davante Adams contract is a little bit complicated. You'll see the cap hit get flown out there. It's not what the new team owes him. A new team would trade for him right now and pay him $13.5 million over the rest of the season. Now, that is an adjustable, fungible number. They can extend him, work out a new deal, push that money off in the future, and get that number cut down to $2, $3, $4 million if they wanted to. And it basically drops by roughly, it's a loose and funny number there, by about $1 million between now and the NFL trade deadline each week. Trading for him at the deadline, you know, $8.6 million. And yes, there's money on the books next year, but the $36.25 million he is owed in 2025 and 2026 is non-guaranteed, which means the new team wouldn't have to pay him that. So I think one of two things happen. They view him as a rental and maybe even push that money off in the future to go all in right now, or they say, you know what, Davante Adams, you're only 31 years old. You turn 32 in December. We'll add you now, and we'll work out a deal and bring that cap hit down this year, give you some more guaranteed money, make you happy, and then we'll have you for multiple seasons. He's still on pace, despite missing a game this year, to being a fringe 1,000-yard receiver. And, you know, he didn't really drop off that much when he had Derek Carr. He did drop off last year with the quarterback carousel that was going on in Vegas, and not the greatest quarterback play this year. So what I'm saying is, from a contract perspective, any team that wants to can afford Davante Adams. It is a question mark of, do they want to? With that in mind, the top 5 teams for the Davante Adams trade. The Jets are an obvious fit. These are the trade odds, by the way. -200 for the Jets, Aaron Rodgers, desperate team, need a receiver. It makes a lot of sense. The Chiefs need a receiver. I'd be pretty shocked if the Raiders are trading him to Casey. That's a very anti-Raiders move. Ravens and Bills are contenders. Wide receiver question marks. They make some sense. If also they're a little bit more tight on cap, they could make it work, but maybe they don't pursue that right there. The Steelers are linked to every wide receiver. Does he fit their timeline? Same is true for a fun dark horse, the Commanders. The Commanders could pursue that if they wanted to. They have the cap space. They need a receiver. They don't have a ton behind Terry McLaurin, but does he fit their timeline? I think you'll see more movement, more updates on that in the coming days and hours here as the NFL moves forward with the Davante Adams trade stuff. Today's show is made possible by GameTime. It is the place for last-minute tickets to your next big event. GameTime Picks. It's a new feature that allows you to just see the best deals. See only the top-end, best savings, best deals out there on the GameTime app. Gets rid of all the fluff, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. It's another way that GameTime is trying to save you money. Just like their all-in pricing shows your total cost up front, so there's no surprise fees at checkout. The GameTime guarantee is this. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, GameTime will credit you 110% of the difference. So download the GameTime app, create your account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. But again, create your account, redeem code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS, for $20 off. Download GameTime today because what time is it? Game time. Links in the comments and the description of today's show. Week 4 takeaways. Now, this could all go away if the Jets get Davante Adams, but I think they should be a little bit worried. The offensive line has not been great. We saw a great Aaron Rodgers in Week 3, and I know the weather was bad. I don't think he played very well in Week 4. And Garrett Wilson got locked up by Patrick Surtain. Allen Lazard and Mike Williams are who they are. They'll make the occasional contested catch, but it's not like they're getting open reliably and making a bunch of big plays for you. It's why there's been so much linking there with Davante Adams. The running game has not been as effective as I thought it was going to be. The defense is still good. Part of this is probably a Nathaniel Hackett issue, by the way. Let's talk Jalen Hurts. I'm actually not panicking on Hurts. Now, if you were expecting the top 5 or fringe top 5 quarterback play he got back in 2022, you probably are freaking out right now. But Hurts has been too inconsistent. Some of the issues are still there. Now, it was not all his fault they lost against the Bucs, and I think if we're being honest here, expectations of any quarterback minus their best offensive lineman and their 2 best wide receivers is probably not very good. And it's amplified when your tight end drops the best throw of the game. That was a great throw by Hurts that Goddard has to catch. That was a dime. And he didn't bring it in there. So I'm not panicking yet on Jalen Hurts, but the fumbles, the interceptions, still having issues against the blitz, stuff's got to be worked out. Been too many mistakes for a quarterback who had shown growth every year in his career, college included, until last year. So what is your panic level over Jalen Hurts? Eagles fan and non-Eagles fans can vote for me. Scale it from 1 to 10 in the comments section of today's show. I am very impressed so far by what the Commanders have done this season. I also think that we maybe shouldn't get too far ahead of our skis. I saw ESPN ask, is Jaden Daniels the best quarterback in the NFC? No, he's not. Been 4 games. Been 4 really good games. What happens when he's not playing the Giants, Bengals, and Cardinals? 3 of those defenses are bad, and 2 of them are outright among the worst in football. Now, the Browns probably win that one. Panthers win that one. It gets tougher in November. And historically speaking, Cliff Kingsbury's offenses have started hot and very much cooled down. I like what I've seen from Cliff. I think some needed adjustments have been made to an extent. I love what I've seen so far out of Washington. I'm just not going to crown them quite yet. I will crown the Jags as the worst team in football, though. They're a mess. Last year, this year to start, it wasn't really that much of Trevor Lawrence's fault. Yeah, there were still throws he missed each game. Every quarterback misses throws. It's kind of funny how only that applies to only certain QBs sometimes for whatever narrative reasons. But last week, look, if they got normal Trevor Lawrence play, they win that game. I thought he was actually just outright bad. The head coach is taking shots at his players. He used to be like, 1 game at a time, we'll chip away. Now he's been comments on, you know what, we can't go out there and play for him. It's bad in Jacksonville. They got to fire the GM and fire the head coach and get a little reset in there. And the Ravens, they're back. That was a damn impressive performance on Sunday Night Football. That was awesome. Derrick Henry running all over dudes. The Bills' run defense is a concern that it hadn't been challenged yet this year. They kind of remind me to an extent. They've, I think, got a better quarterback of some previous years' Dallas Cowboys teams where when they have the lead, it's cooking. And if they get run on, it's not great. But the Ravens, loved what I saw. 2 big-time wins in back-to-back weeks. We'll have more NFL coverage for you guys every single day. Hit that sub button so you don't miss out. YouTube.com/chatsportstv. Let's talk some injury news here around the NFL. We'll go rapid fire. Good news first. Nick Chubb. Practice window will open this week after his IR stint to begin the season. Trending towards a return there. However, nothing trending for Christian McCaffrey. Bilateral, which means both Achilles have tendinitis. That doesn't sound good. One is worse than the other. Again, I question, is he going to play this season? There's really no timetable. Do they get to their bye and reevaluate? I am worried about the McCaffrey situation in San Francisco. Rashee Rice, it's very weird, by the way, that we're well past the 24-hour and kind of almost into the 48-hour window here of, hey, what exactly happened to Rashee Rice? Maybe there was a lot of swelling. I don't know. But team had feared a torn ACL. Some hope that maybe it's not a full tear or it's not as bad as they thought, but no official announcement on the injury other than the fact that he's going to miss time, which is a big loss for KC. Anthony Richardson, semi-good news here. Day today with oblique and abdominal strain instead of the hip injury. That's kind of part of it, I guess. He could play this upcoming week. I don't think the Colts will have Jonathan Taylor, though. He suffered a mild high ankle sprain in week 4, which does not bode well for the Colts, and the run defense is also pretty bad, by the way. Speaking of high ankle sprains, Micah Parsons, that's going to likely keep him out to the team's Week 7 bye, making an already bad defense in trouble with Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence, by the way, both out. Shaq Thompson, unfortunately, tore his Achilles against the Bengals. He says he's not going to retire, but it's going to be a long recovery for the talented linebacker as a Panthers defense gets even worse. Will Levis suffered a shoulder injury. Titans are on bye. Mason Rudolph drove the bus home for a victory. Tennessee will go back to Levis despite having at least one hilarious meme-worthy still image captured and one bad interception each game or turnover each game, but shouldn't be a long-term absence for Levis. If you guys have not already, make sure you have subscribed to us here on NFL Daily. 2 other minor things I want to make note of, by the way. Von Miller suspended 4 games for violating the NFL's personal conduct policy from a domestic violence accusation last year. And then Michael Hall Jr., the Browns defensive tackle, getting 5 games. He's already had time served for 4 of them, so he'll miss the 1 game this upcoming week, also for some domestic violence accusations as well.